Mr. Reeves. We are heading for this May 6th primary. It's 46 days and a wake-up. It's going quickly. I've been doing it since last February. While I was doing that, in earnest, I was running for Congress. So when that finished out in June, we came back and we were head-to-head. I've been going around this 28th district every single day, every morning, every afternoon, and that in and of itself, I think it could easily compete with that Sorensen Institute. Getting acclimated with the folks that you're going to represent, and becoming aware of the needs of senior citizens and single moms and folks in different populations, Latino groups, African American families, folks in historical and poverty. Today I spent a good deal of time in a trailer park. All of those things, just talking to the folks in this district. There's such disparities in haves and have-nots, and just understanding their needs, and just asking them questions and saying, what is it you need from a state senator? What most of them come back to is they simply want a voice. They want a voice in Richmond that's going to represent their individual needs. One lady characterized it as, there's so many separate groups, but what about the rest of us? What are you going to do for the rest of us? Now, I've lived on giving out my card this whole year. I've been giving out my card. I get phone calls. Folks say, hey, can you get a cup of coffee? Can you meet with these 5 folks? Can you meet with the Moms for Liberty? Can you meet with this little group of senior citizens? Can we meet at whatever bagel place it might be? And you take it on. And you answer every question they throw at you. Some you're going, that's a pretty good one. Some folks ask you questions online. Get back to them if you can. We answer them as quickly as you can. But the thing is, bringing all that knowledge together, taking notes, really going back and forth with the people you represent, and carrying those voices forward is what I think I plan on doing. I'm a grassroots candidate. I'm the American First candidate in this race. The America First candidate. I'm supporting President Trump thoroughly. That my opponent definitely, he's not so much. I mean, his latest endorsement was from the Lieutenant Governor, who has voiced her opposition to President Trump. I am sold and wholeheartedly in with President Trump. I like what he did for our country. I hope he does it again. And this is where I'm meeting folks out there that are of like mindset to my own. There's more folks out there still rooting for Trump than you can really imagine. And that's really bringing them all together. So they need a voice. They want this nation to move forward, and they want the state to move forward. They don't want folks who are taking from corporations. They don't want folks taking money from corporations like Dominion. Like one thing, Mr. Reeves put out a fundraiser recently. He said that I take it as an honor that he's spending your money in his campaign. I don't even know what that means. Because over his career, he's taken up $56,000 from Dominion Power. These races should not cost $500,000. He could easily spend that money, and there's his campaign. You don't need to spend more than that. Today I was on the corner down off of 33 and 29, and one of the signs was recycling. So you could do that. Then June 11th on the back, not May 6th. So we could do those kinds of things. The other thing said that I'm not interested in the red wave. I'm not interested in the red wave the way he wants it. He wants to back up someone who's going to go against Matt Strickland. I would like Matt Strickland to run. He wants to support somebody who's going against John McGuire. I'd like John McGuire to win. So we have different definitions of a red wave, inclusive of me. I'd like to be part of that. But it doesn't mean I'm not interested in the red wave. I thoroughly want Virginia to turn red. I want the schools to be back to normal. I want kids to be safe again. I want curriculum to be normalized again. I don't want CRT and SEL and all those things that have been speaking out all over the place against these things. I want the police department to feel well paid. I want a college for those police officers. I want them to be the best trained in the country. I want them to all be EMTs, so they're first responders and police officers. I want the personal property tax to go away. We have a $3.6 billion budget. That's the same amount they took from us in personal property tax. Isn't that interesting? Okay? And getting back to the corporations, taking money from the corporations, Dominion has given over $6 million to politicians in the last year. shouldn't that money go back to the customers instead of the politicians on both sides? On May 6th, please turn out. Please ask questions afterwards. We'll be here. I'd love to talk to you. And remember, you're going to be voting at the Reformation Church in Culpeper from 10 to 4.
Any questions for Mr. Reeves?
Yes, sir.
I don't mean to restart your 5 minutes.
I'll look at that.
Sure.
But this is the wrong
No,
question.
questions are beyond the 5 minutes. We can talk and ask questions all we want. That's what they're here for, to engage and answer questions. So, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
What is the biggest policy difference between you and Senator Reeves?
Biggest policy difference is the fact that when we come to what I just mentioned, taking money from corporations, I think is enormous. Having, like just in January, for example, the Senate Privileges and Elections Committee, it's a 15-person committee, voted 12-3 to continue to keep the spigot from Dominion on. You realize that none of the money that you take from corporations as a politician has to be accounted for? It could be used for personal expenses. I believe in giving money back to taxpayers, back to customers. I believe in giving to the grassroots. I don't believe in taking from the grassroots. Money's that, rightfully there. So there's a big difference in the folks that take that. The lieutenant governor took $66,000 from Dominion. I don't agree with that. I mean, the rate hikes and the rates are high enough. When you look at who controls the rates, it's controlled by the state, right? I mean, so, and the percentage of profits and all those things that are controlled. So why should that spigot remain on when it comes to those things? So I'm more for regular folks. I'm for making personal appearances, being one-on-one, and I'm not for being someone who represents corporations and aligns myself with other folks in corporations so I could then give money to my hand-picked candidates. I want the folks to choose who the candidates are, not the money from my campaign to go to those candidates.
Any other questions?
Sorry.
Yeah, assuming there's nothing illegal about taking these corporation contributions, how do you even think that you can turn off that faucet?
By voting the vote was 12-3, right? It was 6 Democrats and 6 Republicans. 3 Democrats presented that bill saying, okay, let's not take the money from that corporation anymore. So just because it's voted in doesn't mean it's something that we should aspire to.
Well,
I really don't think, yes, it's legal because the committee voted that and it would move forward, but I don't necessarily think that that's having integrity with that. I really don't think we should be taking from corporations with $6.3 million in a year when that money could go back. So there's things that are written in, there's things that are voted on, but they're not necessarily right. So I would look to join in a movement to repeal that and to shut that spigot off.
Mr. Reeves?
Sure. Let me just clarify some facts here. First and foremost, you cannot use campaign funds for personal gain. We already shut that spigot off. That's the law. Second thing is,
I didn't say personal
my
gain.
first raise, I didn't interrupt you, Mike.
I didn't say personal
I didn't
gain.
interrupt you, Mike.
I didn't say personal gain.
I'm not yielding.
Please.
I'm not yielding.
I didn't say personal gain.
My first raise cost over $2 million. I raised $650,000 on my own before I started to get income. We had 2, 3, I think, races last year to win the House of Delegates when they took the majority, not last year, that went over $4 million. $4 million for delegacy. I'm not wealthy. I can't compete in that market. You know what? My State Farm Insurance Agency, my other agency, it's a corporation. My State Farm Agency wrote checks to my campaign. Should I not be able to write from my corporation to my campaign? We will continue to lose until we get people engaged in the issues that we have. You cannot win an election on grassroots effort alone. You have to be able to get your message out, and those messages are expensive. The broadcast media, they don't give you a break. Print, they don't give you a break. Signs are a fixed cost. That's the reality, folks. And here's the other thing I will say to you. Let me clarify this clearly as I can make it. If I didn't have a primary right now, as the whip of the Senate, those monies that I am spending to buy media, the 5 times that you see, to go south to Senator Duncan, to go north to where Juan Pablo Segura was running, to go out to the beach to the seat we just lost by 350 votes, because this is how critical having the majority is. You cannot change a thing unless we have the majority. That's how our Constitution rolls. That's the rules of the Senate. That's why we're tied to California emission standards. That's why a baby can be born, a baby can be kept comfortable, and a discussion in the Senate. Because they had the majority in the House and Senate, and with Record Ralph Northam under COVID, when all that stuff passed. All of it. Now, I'm not saying you can't get things done. This year, I got fentanyl labeled as a weapon of terror. It's a separate and distinct charge. You can get things done in a divided government. It's just a lot different. It's a lot harder. I just wanted to clarify a few things that Mike's pointing out, that it's got to be factual.
I just wanted, let me respond to that quickly, without this becoming a quick debate.
To be fair, he came up and gave 2 minutes, I'll give you 2 minutes.
All right, without this becoming a huge debate. I don't think the money that's raised in the 28th district for the 28th district should go elsewhere. I don't think that candidates should be able to send the money to the candidates of their choice. I don't think that Dwayne Adams should get a check in support of him to go against John McGuire. I think that rate should be determined by the folks in the 10th district. I don't think a check should go against Matt Strickland. I think that should be determined by the folks in the 27th. I think we do too much with this money that we collect, and we make these races too darn expensive. It's really just gonna be myself and Bryce. So far, the Democrats haven't stepped up at all. So we could have kept this a very affordable primary. Now, he owns a business I do not. I was a teacher by trade. I have 1/16 the money that he has. And I'm running the race, I'm out there, knocking doors, getting on the grassroots, getting on the radio whenever I can, doing every single thing I could possibly can to get my voice out there in an old-fashioned way. And I think that's what we gotta come back to, because that's what represents the grassroots. Thank you, Chuck.
Any follow-up questions for either one of the candidates? Okay.
Mike, if you're, and this is just out of curiosity, if you're elected as state senator, if you're saying that you wouldn't support other candidates in the state?
No, I'm not saying that, but I don't think I should raise money from the folks in my district to go toward, to make a play for people to weigh in on folks that are running in our party, both as Republicans. Like, for example, Tara Durant and Matt Strickland are both running as Republicans. I think that should be determined by the folks in the 27th.
I think
That's my point.
From my understanding, what Bryce was saying is that he would support people that were running against Democrats, not against.
Well, no, but that's what we have going. We have Tara Durant's getting his support, and Dwayne Adams is getting his support against really great candidates.
So if you became senator, state senator, you.
Supporting Republicans against Democrats is a whole different ballgame.
So you
Okay?
would not.
But that's what the blessing of the folks, yes, ma'am.
I mean, it's a surplus of funds that can't be given back to people who gave it. So what's the proposal that we pull the money into a Republican bank that everybody pulls equally from, all Republicans pull equally?
No, it's like, if I had a surplus, there's money going forward too, if there's gonna be an election, if there's gonna be election costs. There's gonna be quite a bit, with this primary, a lot of the costs are gonna go toward educating the people where we poll. There's only 3 polling places in 7 counties. We really gotta get that word out there. It's not being advertised by the district, as you know, or the party. So we're the ones that are responsible for getting that education out there.
Okay. Any other questions? Again, I want to say thank you